Welcome everybody and thank you for joining me. It's Winter World Cup time and we continue to look at each of the teams that will be attending the big dance in Qatar. So it's preview time with Ducks and we're starting our South American journey today looking at Ecuador and how they're going to battle it out in Group A. You can also catch my other team previews and analysis on the channel, and if you're feeling ever so kind, a little like and a subscribe will go a long way to making you a World Cup legend. So let's begin and find out a little bit more about Ecuador. Here we are in South America, following the tourism slogan, all you need is Ecuador. As a country they sit in northwestern South America and border Colombia and Peru. 93% of the population speak Spanish as their first language, and if you hail from there then you are known as an Ecuadorian. Mount Chimborazo is the country's stratovolcano, and at its peak it is actually the furthest point on Earth from the centre of the planet. See, who knew this would be educational? Other key landmarks include the middle of the world city, which actually marks the equator. And who's that cheeky little fellow in the middle? Well, that's a fringed leaf frog. It can be found high in the canopies of the Amazon rainforest. Apparently, it's been voted the world's most sexiest frog. Don't look at me, I'm just bringing you the facts. Ecuador as a footballing nation have appeared at the big dance 3 times in their history, making their debut in 2002. The yellow, blue and red colours always add to a World Cup spectacle, and they are known very well to England fans when they met in 2010 in Ecuador's only ever knockout game. A David Beckham goal saw England through, but the encounter had England fans singing Ecuador by sash all the way through the tournament. With the South American side failing to qualify in 2018, 2014 was their last appearance in the World Cup, which was held in their own continent in Brazil. Unfortunately for Ecuador, they were knocked out by France and Switzerland in the group stages, although they were only beaten by Switzerland in all 3 of their group matches. Ecuador are managed by Gustavo Alfaro, a man who has been at the helm of the Ecuadorian national team since 2020. He's navigated their path through a very difficult South American qualifying section, and he currently holds a record of a win every 2 matches played. Gustavo is Argentinian, and at 60 years old he's had a very long managerial career, mostly at clubs within Argentina, where he's won trophies with Boca Juniors and Arsenal de Sarandí. He's close to managing 900 games overall in his career, but his time with Ecuador is his first on the international scene. Qualifying from the South American section of the World Cup is no simple task, with 3 footballing giants in Brazil, Argentina and Uruguay taking the top 3 spots of 4 available. Ecuador managed to take the final spot, despite a close challenge from Peru and Colombia. After a strong start, Alfaro's team struggled. They didn't win any of their last 4 matches and they stumbled somewhat across the line. But it was their key 2-0 victory away at Chile on matchday 14 with a crucial 3 points to see them on their way to Qatar. Top goalscorer Michael Estrada headed the way for Ecuador with 6 goals in total during qualifying. The striker is currently playing his football in Mexico and a loan deal with Cruz Azul, having previously been playing in the MLS for DC United. Here we look at the home and away records of Ecuador in the South American section, and it just shows how strong they were at home. They only lost to Peru and they managed to draw with Brazil and Argentina, as well as impressive victories over Uruguay 4-2 and 6-1 over Colombia. Away from home, only 2 wins were secured, but there were a number of tight matches. Ultimately, it was enough for the country of Ecuador to celebrate their qualification to the World Cup in 2022. Ecuador's head coach Gustavo Alfaro has had a tendency to mix things up in terms of his formation in the qualifying games. He's played anything from a 3-4-3 to a 4-4-2, reacting to different opposition, but he seems to have settled in recent friendlies on a 4-2-3-1 or kind of a 4-1-4-1 formation. Goalkeeper Alexander Dominguez has been a regular captain of the national side. He actually featured in the last World Cup for Ecuador in 2014, keeping a clean sheet against France. Defensively, they've used Angelo Preciado at right back, Pervis Estupinan at left back, although as shown as with his domestic club at Brighton, he can play further forward. At centre back, exciting youngster Piero Incapi has often been paired with Felix Torres Coisado of Santos. However, both Robert Arboleda and Xavier Arriaga have both picked up significant minutes under Alfaro. Midfield has seen support from Jose Cifuentes and Jegson Mendes, but the key partnership has been Carlos Grueso of Augsburg in Germany and Moses Caicedo of Brighton. Goalscorer Michael Estrada can play up top on his own or in a pairing, most often with Enner Valencia, Gonzalo Plata or Angel Mena, depending how Alfaro goes with his formation. First up on the players to watch list is a man in the Premier League where we're starting to get acquainted with him, as he recently joined Brighton. I'm sharing with you here the attributes from their Football Manager player profiles just to give a flavour of how they are rated. If you're unfamiliar with Football Manager, then the attributes that we're showing in bold are the ones that are key and most important to their position. Pervis Estupiñán had an excellent 21-22 campaign at Villarreal, part of the team that made the Champions League semi-final. He's a strong player with plenty of running. In his legs it's shared on Football Manager, with his excellent stamina at 18 out of 20 and natural fitness at 16. With only 26 caps, the 24-year-old has plenty of attacking talent to his fullback play. Something Brighton have brought in as they needed skills to replace Marc Cucurella going to Chelsea. But for Ecuador, he can play multiple positions on the left-hand side, certainly with an attacking intent. At just 20 years of age, young centre-back Piero Hincapié is one of Ecuador's most talented developing players. His performances opened the eyes of European scouts as Bayer Leverkusen moved to bring him into Germany in 2021 for a fee just shy of £6 million. In his first season in the Bundesliga, he made 27 appearances as an impressive ball-playing defender. Naturally left-footed, he's a strong passer of the ball and reads the game well, making himself a first-team choice pick as part of the Ecuadorian defensive unit. His capabilities will be heavily relied upon with the dangerous Dutch and Senegal attacks on the horizon in Group A. Fans of the Premier League will recognise the name Enner Valencia due to his 3 seasons with West Ham between 2014 and 2017. Not forgetting the single season he had on Merseyside with Everton. He's in fact the all-time Ecuadorian top goal scorer in international football with his 36 goals, which coming from 64 caps is quite a strong record. At 32 years of age, he still possesses quite a lot of pace. He's actually spent the last 3 seasons in Fenerbahce in Turkey, where he scored over 30 goals there in the process. His experience will be an asset that Ecuador will have to turn to with difficult games on the horizon. And of course, Ecuador are Qatar's dance partner in the opening game, with the eyes of the world upon them as they play against the hosts. It's a very interesting game on paper, as the oddmakers have Qatar as the weakest team in the group, but with home advantage and the pressure of an opening game can do very strange things indeed. Ecuador will be looking to put some important points on the board, as their second match is against the resurging Netherlands and the African champion Senegal await them in their final group game. This young developing side have the potential to cause an upset. We saw it in the qualifying with draws against Argentina and Brazil, as well as their win over Uruguay. Now it's prediction time, where effectively I take a punt in the dark. I just think with Ecuador that the pressure of the opening game may cause them to drop points, which will ultimately be the difficulty in qualifying against Senegal and Netherlands. Their away form in the qualifiers was actually not great, and Senegal have been a strong opponent in Africa for a few years now, so I think that last game could end up being telling. But hey, what do I know? Maybe Alfaro gets it right on the formation front and sees Ecuador take a step into the World Cup knockouts for only the second time in their history. Who knows? And with that, I thank you for taking the time to watch this episode of the World Cup preview. If you're interested in other teams in Group A or other teams in the tournament, do please check out the channel, as we've got many more coming up over the next weeks. Please hit the like button, make sure you subscribe. A notification button means you'll miss nothing that comes out from the channel as well. But for now, I hope to catch you soon.